What's good, people? No better way than better ways. Dodgy video quality, but the message is still strong. So this is what remains. I'm making this video for myself, first of all, and for every person who's going to resonate with the message. Whatever it is that you're trying to heal in yourself, I feel like life will humble you. Life will, throw these little kind of tests at you on the healing process. One of which being like quite a bit of a sly creeper. One of which is complacency. And complacency is a strange one because I think there's a part of the journey where you're supposed to feel like you got it. You're supposed to feel like basically, okay, I'm there, I made it. And this is a dangerous time because you can feel like pushing through is so easy that if you kind of dial back onto whatever habits you've been sticking to, whatever foundations you've created and base yourself on along the way, you can kind of feel like, oh, okay, it's okay to dial back on whatever form of discipline I've kind of, in like integrated to my day-to-day basis because I got it now. I'm pretty much out of it. I can't go back. Listen to me, bro. Like, life will get you to a point where you are so fed up with starting over. Fed up. I didn't know how fed up I could get with my own healing journey, dealing with my own, vices and I'll be honest, I got complacent. And I've had like the last few days to think about it. And I feel like the reason I got complacent is that once you kind of get to a point where you forget, it's not really a relevant part of your day anymore. It's kind of like, oh, what's the difference between 4 months sober and 4 months and one day? And it's like the days, they stop mattering as much. And then you indulge again, feeling like you're stronger than when you started, not realizing that what kind of created this strength is the fact that you've accepted that trying to deal with your addiction was a game you couldn't win. So what do you do with games that you can't win? You stop playing. You stop indulging. If your vice was a person, you would have to cut ties with it. Plain and simple. With them, sorry. It wouldn't be like, oh, you know what, I've taken enough time away from this person, now I can go back. No, bro, like, you were supposed to cut ties from the beginning, and this complacency can kind of creep in thinking, oh, it's not going to be as bad as it was the last time, and you kind of get sucked back in to what made it so difficult for you to leave in the first place, because there's a certain charm, there's a certain attraction to your vice. Whatever it is you're dealing with, for some people, it's corn, for some people, it's alcohol, for some people, it's weed, it's video games, it's sex, it's a cigarette, it's hard drugs. I pray to God that it's not what you're having to deal with, but in any case, a lot of the time, you're gonna need this help. You're gonna need this kind of distance and hindsight to realize why you're leaving, and especially to understand where you're going. And complacency can kind of make you feel like you're permanently out of harm's way, not realizing that what's kept you out of harm's way is that you stuck to your guns and cut the ties and decided not to let it in. Decided not to go back on the promise you made to yourself. And the promise you made to yourself was one of transformation. Deep and profound transformation was one of accepting the figurative death of who you were, of your addicted self. So there's no place for your addicted self where you're going. There's never been. And going back to these old ways, thinking that you could simply drop them, like have just one drink, just one joint, just one peak, and think that you're coming out of it unscathed, the second you decide to indulge again, you've lost. Not permanently. It's not like, whatever you've done has been for nothing, but you've lost because you've restarted, you've re-entered a game that your experience has shown you that you cannot win. You cannot deal with it. If you cannot deal with it, do not. If you cannot win the fight, don't bother fighting. And this is kind of the danger of complacency, because when people start and it's like, oh, okay, 2 weeks sober, 3 weeks sober, it's very easy to get galvanized and kind of gassed on the progress you're making, because it's new and the ties have been severed so recently that you're kind of seeing examples in your day-to-day basis very quickly. You're kind of noticing that maybe your mind is clearer, your decision making is better, you feel better about yourself, you feel more confident, you basically feel more like yourself again. And you get to a place where you're comfortable, so comfortable that your psyche is almost not used to it. And all it takes is that little too stressful period of time where maybe you're alone at home, maybe someone offers you a drink, maybe you walk past someone smoking and you're offered a cigarette, you're offered whatever it is you're dealing with. It just takes an alignment of you being in that vulnerable position and having the complacency to believe that you're out of harm's way, even though harm is literally in front of you, to re-enter a game you promised yourself you would never play. And this is a dangerous, dangerous place to be in. And furthermore, what's kind of funny about it is, like, when you're in this position, when you're stressed, and literally anything else is better than whatever it is you're trying to quit, than whatever it is you promise yourself not to go back to. Literally anything else, I promise you. And sometimes it might look like another vice, but a vice that you probably don't have the same relationship with as the one you're really, really trying to get rid of. But sometimes it's just all you need is a form of connection, whether it is to others or to yourself. And what I found very therapeutic in the past few days is to document. Because documenting your progress allows you to keep a trace of how it was and how determined you were back when you started, and to see the progress and realize that going back to whatever it is that you're trying to leave behind is it's not like discarding everything you've done up to this moment, but it's really not honoring it. And on this process of healing, you want to honor yourself, and you will be humbled until you understand that you gotta be ready to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to not go back to your old self. You cannot bring old habits into a new life. You've tried it before, and you've been on this path for months, years, weeks, whatever days, maybe whatever it may look like. But a lot of people have been on a healing journey, especially when with addiction recovery, they've been on this for years, decades, some even. Because healing requires a form of death. Healing requires a form of sacrifice, and the sacrifice you're making is of your addicted self. And it's not just about not doing whatever it is you're trying to get rid of, it's about completely changing as a person and about becoming someone who just does not. And you might have to address a lot more than what is actually the symptom. You might have to go deeper than you think. You might have to deal with some unattended childhood trauma. You might have to deal with your social anxiety. You might have to deal with your fear of connection, of being seen, of being authentic. Because this is the root cause. This is kind of the void, this is kind of the wound that your vice has been here to soothe, but you're not really soothing it. You're adding salt to your wound. You've just gotten so used to do it that you'd rather deal with a familiar pain than an unattended one. Because at the very least, you feel something other than your pain, but this is not what you're aiming for. So keep that in mind. I'll try and be back tomorrow with something, because this is my way to document my progress and my way of keeping a trace of how much of an important task this is. So yeah. No better way than better ways, and hopefully we all make it. Take care.